In lesson 313, comparing decimals, we're going to be using our math journal, our whiteboard marker, and eraser, and you may choose to use Brain Camp virtual manipulatives as well. So let's go ahead and start with our whiteboards. You're going to write a number sentence using the symbols greater than, or equal, or less than to show which decimal is larger, 95 hundredths or 3/10. You can either write it or you could do some drawing. So go ahead and pause the video and either write a number sentence to show which one is greater or less than, or write an equation. So in this situation, I used base 10 blocks off Brain Camp, and this shows that 95 hundredths is greater than 3/10. Next one, go ahead and erase your whiteboard. In the 2012 Summer Olympics, American swimmer Missy Franklin won the 100-meter backstroke. The times of the top two swimmers were 58 and 68 hundredths seconds and 58 and 33 seconds. What was the winning time? If you notice, they were both 58 seconds. And the first time had 68 hundredths and the second one had 33 hundredths. Which was the winning time? Remember, the faster the swim time, that would be the winning time. So again, on your whiteboard, you can draw a picture, you can use your Brain Camp manipulatives, or you can just write an equation. Go ahead and pause your video and show which had the winning time. Here I've just written out the whole number 58 for both of those times, but I can see that the winning time, because you want the fastest time, the winning time would be 58 and 33 hundredths seconds. Next problem, go ahead and erase your whiteboard. A box of dental floss contains 50 meters of floss. Samantha used 4/10 of a meter to floss her teeth. Her brother Eli used 56 hundredths meters to floss his teeth. Who used more dental floss? So here is Eli's, and here is Samantha's. What I'd like you to do is write an equation or show a picture to show who used more. Go ahead and pause your video. If I use my base 10 blocks on brainycamp.com, I can see that Eli's is greater than his sister's use of the dental floss. So an easy way to do this is to look at each of the place values. So if we look at the tenths and compare those, 5 is already greater than 4. Remember, this would represent longs. Go ahead and erase your whiteboard. We're going to move into your math journal. We are in lesson 313. So you're going to open to journal page 102. Journal page 102. At the top it says comparing decimals. It says color each grid to show the decimal. Circle the grid that shows the larger decimal. So in this case, you're going to go ahead and color in. Remember, the first number after the decimal we call tenths, and that refers to the longs. The next place after the decimal, after the tenths, is the hundredths. And that we use the cube because it would take 100 cubes to cover this entire flat. So go ahead, along with me, shade in 5/10. So that would be 5 longs because it would take 10 of them to cover the whole flat. If you have a marker, you might find it might be a little bit quicker. And then the next one says 87 hundredths. So the first number after the decimal tells me how many longs. So that would be 8. And the next number, 87, the 700th, shows me that I need 7 cubes. What this shows me is that 87 out of the 100 needed to cover the flat is what it represents. So 5/10 is less than 87/100. In number 2 on page 102, you're going to mark and label each of the following decimals on the number line. 53/100, 7/10, 4/100, and 65/100. So let's go ahead and start with 53/100. So in your math journal, go ahead and label this as 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. Now what we'll do is we'll label 53/100. So you know the 5, notice it in the tenths place, and then we'll go 3 millimeters beyond that. 1, 2, 3. Let me go ahead and try that again. We'd put that right there, and we'll label that 53/100. Next is 7/10. 7/10. Next is 4/100. So this line, all of these, if we counted up all of these, there would be 100 of them. There'd be 10 to here, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So we're only going to go to the 4th one, which means it's a 4th one out of the 100 little marks that go between 0 and 1. We call this 4/100. Next one would be 65/100. So that would be past the 6, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65/100. So go ahead and label that in as well. Again, remember, at any point in time, if you think I'm going too fast for you, go ahead and just pause the video. In number 3, we're going to use the symbol greater than, equal, or less than to make the number sentence true. Now, in this case, we're just going to start by looking in the tenths place. This one is 4 longs, 49/100, and 8 longs, 8/10. So 49/100 would be 4 longs and 9 cubes. This one would be 8. 8 longs is bigger than 49. 49/100 is less than 8/10. So be careful with that. Just because we look at the number 49, just remember it's 4 longs and 9 cubes. 8/10 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 longs. And this is definitely larger. So be careful. Place value is so important. B. We look at the whole number 5. They're the same. So we'll go the next place value, which is the tenths. 2 and 2 are the same. So we're going to go the next place. Just imagine 2 longs is the same as 20 cubes. So we have a 0 in the 100th and a 9. So 5 and 2/10 is less than 5 and 29/100. C. We look at the 0 there. 0, they're the same. So go to the tenths place. 3 and 0. Which one is larger? 3 is larger. So 3/10 is greater than 3/100. 3/10 would be here. 3/100 would be there. 0 or 75/100. Well, 0 would be nothing. 75/100 would be 7 longs and 5 cubes. That one is larger. So 0 is less than 75/100. E, we're going to look at the tenths place. 6 and 4, which one is larger? 6/10 is greater than 4/10. And lastly, 1/10 and 1/10 are the same. So imagine 1 long is the same as 10 cubes, so I can put a 0 behind there. 0 and 0 there equal. 1/10 is the same as 10 cubes or 10 hundredths. Lastly, Austin's teacher asked him to place the decimal 9/10 and 9/100 on a number line. This is what he did. You notice he put them and called them the same thing in the same place. 9/10 would be the same as 9 longs. 9/100, this would be 0 longs, but 9 cubes. They are definitely not the same. Do you agree with Austin's answer? No, I think he was confused because 9/10 would be equal to, and you can go ahead and just draw it. And 9/100 would be equal to 9 cubes. That is it for the lesson.